Hello everybody, welcome to episode number 4 of the Real Talk Real Estate Show. We have something special for this episode and the next couple. As we say goodbye to 2016, we decided it would be appropriate to take a look back at the year. If you can believe it, we're already done with 2016, so we're going to analyze the markets starting in Washington, D.C. Next week, we're going to Maryland, looking at that marketplace, and then we're ending the year with Virginia. As we do this, we're going to take a look at the winners, losers, who made money and where, who lost money and why those markets aren't appreciating. We're going to take a look at the best possible data available to us, and we have access to some proprietary technology that is going to allow us to take a deep dive into all three. So we hope you check out this episode. Send us your questions if you have any about specific neighborhoods, but as we move forward, we're going to be looking at all three. So check us out. So let's get started with Washington, D.C. There has been a lot of activity in our market, and I will caution at the start of this, Washington, D.C. is a city. There are pockets within the city, so it is tough to break it down. We're going to do our very best to give you the opinions on who won and who lost. Starting with the median home prices, and what's interesting about this town is that they actually didn't change much. The movement from 2015 to 2016 was nominal. I mean, we're talking less than 1% difference in the median home sale price. However, if you look around the city, there are different markets within the city that appreciated, and some stay the same, and even in some cases depreciated. Let's start with my first winner of the day, the zip code 20008, Cleveland Park, North Cleveland Park. Think Red Line, Connecticut Avenue, all of that. Boy, you won big this year. We're talking about the price per square foot went up from $559 to $730 a foot on average. That's tremendous. In fact, when you look at it, the median home price went up from $665,000 to nearly $1,080,000. That is a 62% increase in median home sale prices. I'll caution and say here, median home prices does not necessarily mean everyone's property values went up 62%. That's obviously not the case. But what is telling is you take that in combination with the average cost per foot. What's that telling me? It's telling me that in that area along the Red Line, smaller spaces have become much more valuable. In other words, those larger row homes that you see, they've gone up some, they've definitely won this year, but the 1 bedrooms, the 2 bedrooms, those older condo buildings that you see along Connecticut Avenue, absolutely, people just want to live near Metro, and that part of town is quiet, urban. It kind of has the blend of everything people are looking for, and ultimately the cost per square foot is skyrocketing. That's almost a record in the city. I mean, we're talking, again, $730 per foot. So that's my take. If I have any recommendation, buy. That area is red hot. It is not slowing down in my opinion. I think that's going to be a real winner for 2017. My next one we look at is 20011. I'm talking Brightwood. I'm talking the 16th Street Heights, Crestwood areas. Incredible movement in both of those marketplaces. In Brightwood, the median home price went up from $445,000 to $617,000 this year. I'm talking 365 days. That's a 35% increase. Again, it's a 13% jump in cost per square foot, which went up to $420. Brightwood at $420,000 per foot. Last year, it was somewhere around $370. So that's a $50 per foot difference. That's a big jump in Brightwood. And I can see why. We're talking by the old Walter Reed Hospital when I'm talking Brightwood. And neighboring, right along 16th Street, Crestwood Heights, on both sides of Connecticut, we're talking north of Mount Pleasant, that whole area, south of Walter Reed, north of Mount Pleasant on 16th Street, saw the same exact thing. We saw a 28% increase in median home prices. So we went from $505,000 to $650,000. Again, and the cost per foot is up 33%. So I don't just look at median home prices. You got to take that, which is an indicator for sure, catches your attention. But then you look at what does 1 square foot cost you? And as that price goes up, you know that it's not just the smaller spaces that are winning, it's the larger spaces and everything in between. So ultimately, in 20008, 20011, and I've got another one here, which may or may not surprise you. But Anacostia, DC, across the river, we saw the greatest jump in appreciation in median home sale prices and cost per square foot. It's remarkable. And in fact, if I told you this, you probably won't believe me, but I promise you the data won't lie. we saw a 65% increase in median home sale prices in Anacostia alone. And again, Anacostia is one part of Southeast DC, but it's one of those parts that often get overlooked, and it has that reputation of being not as desirable. But the average home sale price this time last year was $191,000. $191,000. If you want to take a guess before I say it, what today would be, feel free, but I'll go right to it. $315,000 today on average. That's a tremendous shift. And I also look at it too, you're talking about an 18% increase in cost per square foot. So it's winning on every level. But here's what I think is going on. As affordable housing in our city is becoming more and more scarce, people are looking for those opportunities and they're crossing the river to do it. And that's not a bad idea. There's a ton of development going on. That's where the builders and developers are investing their money. Businesses are moving in. Just expect that to continue through 2017 and beyond. So that's a real winner. It's a sleeper, and I think it will do a tremendous amount of activity over the coming days. And I'll round out my winners with Shaw, DC. Listen, I live in Shaw, DC. I absolutely love it down there. And right around the U Street, Howard University area, we've seen a 12% increase in median home sale prices. We've seen a 7% increase in cost per square foot. And we're talking 1 year. So 1 year ago, Shaw looked different. And I really believe that the amount of investment going in there, albeit it's already kind of been done in a way, but there's still a lot more to do. Look at Shaw, DC for your next opportunity. So that's how we're going to wrap up our winners. And I think this is going to transition quite nicely into our losers. And again, I don't say this, the city overall is a good bet, it's a good investment, right? But there are some areas that just did not move this year. And it's the first one I think is going to really surprise you. And I love this area, so it kind of broke my heart to tell you this, but 20005 Thomas Circle, Logan Circle, this year was a loser. If you're talking about median home sale prices, it's down 10% actually. The median home sale price dropped. Why? Well, there's a couple of reasons. And it's a natural slowdown that happens when an area becomes so popular, so many people flock to those areas. And we've seen that the last decade on 14th Street, my office, everyone wants to be here. All the restaurants moved in, all the bars, everybody got incredibly expensive. And then there's a natural slowdown and a correction. And we saw that in Logan Circle, Thomas Circle this year. The cost per square foot is up, it's nominal, so it didn't lose money overall. Your property appreciated some, but it's not performing in the ways that we're used to Logan Circle performing. So I put that down as my biggest loser for the area because it's probably the biggest disappointment. And the second one may surprise you as well. Southwest Waterfront. I love it. The ballpark, everything that's going on down there, we've got a lot of activity. I'll be honest with you, a lot of the builders are building rental properties down there. That's not really affecting your resale home prices. So I looked at resales in the Southwest Waterfront area and it took a step back again this year. The cost per square foot is up 2% year over year. That's good. It's up at $487 a foot. That's a great return. But what does that tell me? It tells me that the people that were looking for good investments there purchased there a couple years ago and aren't seeing the returns yet. They saw a tremendous jump and probably from 2010 to 2014, but 15 didn't really do a whole lot. And now, 15 and 16 were good years, but ultimately didn't really change that area enough. And everyone really thought that area would continue to skyrocket. The data isn't suggesting it is. My prediction though, 2017 I think will be a little bit kinder to the Southwest Waterfront. Look at the Wharf project and see what they're doing down there. That will tell you everything about what I feel. High end, great retail, it's going to look great. And I'll round out the last two of my biggest losers in the city, and starting with Glover Park, right? Glover Park, Cathedral Heights area, traditionally excellent places to live, but it's just not doing much. It lost on the median home prices. The cost per square foot flatlined. In some micro neighborhoods within Glover Park, it actually went down, it decreased. Here's what I'll say about this, and I'm going to say the same thing as DuPont Circle. Those two are right next to each other. They both just didn't perform well this year, and it goes right into what my overall take is on these areas. The city 10 or 20 years ago was a much different city than we live in today. There were certain parts of Northwest DC that were the only places that certain people wanted to live, and they considered the rest of the city off limits for whatever reason. That has changed so much as we've seen affordable housing diminish overall. People are expanding their searches to Brightwood, down to Anacostia. They're going to just Columbia Heights, Shaw. These are all areas that 10 years ago were not desirable. They were not areas that we saw performance. We saw just year over year, not much happening. And so all of a sudden now, as that is exploding, those markets are taking off. We're seeing these tried and true Glover Park, Georgetown, DuPont Circle markets just really flatlining because they're not the only show in town anymore. So in a way or another, the city expanding has given rise to great opportunities in other areas, but it's also taken away. And there's a lot more I can say about this, but I wanted to just kind of hit you with the highlights. I looked over every piece of data in the city, and these were ones that were most notable. There are other winners and losers. Eckington did well, Spring Valley did well, Capitol Hill did well this year. Some of the other losers were definitely Riggs Park and areas that people really thought would do well. But ultimately, here's what I'll say. You buy a house because you want to live there, and you invest where you want to be. But this is, again, combining that element with what we feel will be the best winners in 2017 and what we can look at from 2016 and predict what's going to happen. So we hope you got some value out of this. We are going to be doing this in Maryland next week and then follow up with Virginia. So we're just getting this party started. We're going to keep on this. I want to start by saying this was all made possible because of our recent affiliation with Compass in Washington, D.C., where they have access to the best data. I mean, this stuff is gold. And so this would not be possible without our affiliation with Compass, where they utilize the best technologies. You can always submit us your questions using the hashtag AskJohnFox, or you can send them in at info@thefoxgroupdc.com, where we're always going to get back to you. So give me a question about this stuff. I'm glad to answer it. Finally, you can always check out these episodes on our website at www.thefoxgroupdc.com, and we'll also feature all of this stuff on our social pages, Instagram, Facebook, you name it, we're going to have it. It's going to be on Twitter. So we hope you check in with us. We hope you check this out. And I just want to thank Compass again for having us, and we look forward to checking you next time.